First contact, first blood. Commander Jorel of the Kurnock's Imperial Fleet observed the small blue-green planet on the main view screen. His four eyes narrowed as the bioscanners confirmed what the preliminary probes had reported. A Class 3 civilization with primitive space capabilities and abundant biological resources, perfect for harvesting. Analysis complete, Commander, reported Science Officer Trell, her tentacles dancing across the data interface. The dominant species calls themselves humans. They have achieved rudimentary spaceflight, possess nuclear capabilities, but have no unified planetary defense system. Their global military forces are fragmented among nearly 200 sovereign territories. Jorel's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. The Kurnock's empire had conquered over 300 worlds in the last millennium, and this operation would follow the standard protocol: disable global communications, eliminate military command centers, and deploy harvester units to collect biological specimens and resources. The population would be subdued within days. Their most advanced weapons, Jorel inquired, already calculating how quickly the planet would fall. Primitive nuclear missiles, supersonic aircraft, and rudimentary satellite defenses, Trell replied. Nothing that can penetrate our shields. They haven't even developed basic plasma technology. Jorel rose from his command chair, his exoskeleton gleaming under the ship's lighting. Prepare the invasion force. We strike in 6 cycles. He turned to his second-in-command. Vex, inform the fleet, standard conquest formation. The massive Kurnock's armada positioned itself in Earth's orbit, invisible to human detection systems thanks to their advanced cloaking technology. 50 destroyer-class vessels and 200 harvester ships prepared for the assault on the unsuspecting planet below. Deploy EMP arrays, Jorel ordered as the final preparations were completed. Target their major communication hubs and military installations first. The attack began without warning. Electromagnetic pulses rippled across the planet's surface, disabling power grids and communications networks across entire continents. Major cities plunged into darkness as panic spread among the human population. The Kurnocks watched with clinical detachment as chaos unfolded below. First wave of harvesters deploy, Jorel commanded, and the collection vessels descended through Earth's atmosphere, targeting densely populated areas for specimen gathering. The operation was proceeding exactly as thousands before it had. But something unexpected happened. As the harvesters reached their targets, human military forces, despite losing central command capabilities, adapted with alarming speed. Fighter jets launched from hidden runways, naval vessels activated backup systems, and ground forces coordinated using alternative communication methods. Commander, we're receiving distress signals from harvester units in North America and Asia, reported the communications officer, his voice tinged with confusion. They're under attack. Jorel's exoskeleton stiffened. Impossible, their weapons can't penetrate our shields. The tactical display told a different story. Human fighters were targeting the harvester ship's propulsion systems, not with energy weapons, but with high-velocity kinetic projectiles that somehow bypassed the Kurnock's shielding designed to deflect energy attacks. Status report, Jorel demanded as the first harvester crashed into what humans called the Pacific Ocean. They're adapting their weapons, Commander, Trell said, her voice betraying shock. They're using simple physics principles to overcome our defenses. The shields are calibrated for energy weapons, not physical projectiles. More harvesters began falling as human forces rallied worldwide. Military bases previously thought destroyed were emerging from underground bunkers. Civilian aircraft were being weaponized in desperate but effective counterattacks. This isn't possible, Vex muttered, watching the tactical display with mounting horror. How are they coordinating without central command? The answer became clear as the hours passed. Earth's military forces didn't rely on a single command structure. They operated as independent units capable of autonomous decision-making. When one command center fell, others simply adapted and continued fighting. Jorel paced the command deck, mandibles clicking rapidly in agitation. Launch the second wave with modified shields. Target their largest military installations with focused ion beams. The Kurnock's fleet unleashed devastating energy weapons that carved smoking craters into Earth's surface. Human casualties mounted by the millions, but the resistance didn't crumble as expected, it intensified. Commander, Trell called, her voice urgent, I've been analyzing their communication patterns. They're not just fighting as separate units, they are sharing tactical information across their entire planet. The EMP didn't disable all their networks. They have redundancies we didn't detect. A massive explosion rocked Joral's command ship. Alarms blared as damage reports flooded in. What was that? Joral demanded. A nuclear detonation in near orbit, the tactical officer reported. They've modified their missiles to target our fleet. 3 destroyers have sustained critical damage. Another explosion closer this time. The view screen showed a terrifying sight. Human spacecraft, cobbled together from existing technology, were launching from hidden bases on Earth's moon, carrying improvised nuclear weapons directly to the Kurnock's fleet. Impossible, Joral whispered. Their lunar base was nothing but a research outpost. It appears they converted it to a military installation, Trell replied, her tentacles trembling as she analyzed incoming data. Commander, I'm detecting unusual biological readings from the human pilots. Their endocrine systems are producing compounds that should be killing them, yet they're functioning at enhanced capacity. The xenobiologist joined the conversation. They call it adrenaline, Commander. When faced with extreme danger, their bodies release chemicals that temporarily enhance their physical capabilities and suppress pain. They're essentially overclocking their biological systems. Joral watched in disbelief as human spacecraft performed maneuvers that should have killed their pilots, absorbing G-forces that would crush most species. They were sacrificing themselves by the thousands, but for every human that fell, more rose to take their place. Commander, we've lost 30% of the fleet, Vex reported, mandibles twitching nervously. The harvesters are being systematically destroyed. We need to withdraw and reassess. Pride and tradition warred with tactical reality in Joral's mind. In 8 centuries of service to the Empire, he had never ordered a retreat, but as another destroyer erupted in flames, reality asserted itself. Tactical withdrawal, he ordered, voice heavy with shame. Regroup at the system's edge. As the Kurnock's fleet retreated from Earth's orbit, Joral studied the planet that had defied conquest. The scattered lights of human civilization were coming back online, networks re-establishing themselves, a species refusing to submit. Commander, Trell said quietly, I've been reviewing historical data from Earth's information networks. These humans, they spent most of their recorded history fighting each other. Every technological advancement they've made has been weaponized at some point. Joral turned all 4 eyes to her, meaning, she continued, that their entire civilization has been shaped by conflict. They don't just adapt to war, they excel at it. And now we've given them a common enemy. As the fleet limped away to safer space, Joral prepared the transmission he dreaded sending, his report to the Imperial Council. For the first time in Kurnock's history, a standard conquest had failed, and worse, they had awakened something dangerous. The planet called Earth was no longer just another target, it had become a threat. The Reckoning. Grand Admiral Vexura of the Kurnock's Imperial Armada studied the holographic display of the small blue-green planet that had humiliated Commander Joral's fleet 3 orbital cycles ago. The defeat was unprecedented. The Empire had never failed to conquer a Class 3 civilization before. I want everything we have on these humans, Vexura demanded, her massive form casting shadows across the command deck of the dreadnought Inevitable Conquest. At 3 times the size of a standard Kurnock's, the Grand Admiral's genetically engineered body reflected her status as the Empire's supreme military commander. Science Director Maul activated a detailed biological scan. Physically, their unimpressive Admiral carbon-based, oxygen-dependent, limited regenerative capabilities. What makes them dangerous is their psychology and social structure. The hologram shifted to display human history. Endless wars, rapidly evolving weapons technology, and a species that repeatedly survived disasters that should have driven them extinct. They call their planet Earth, Maul continued. Their recorded history is essentially an unbroken chain of conflict. When not fighting external threats, they fight each other over resources, ideology, territory, even abstract concepts like religion and political systems. Vexura's primary eyes narrowed, and yet they united against us. That's their most dangerous characteristic, Maul confirmed. They can transform from bitter enemies to allies almost instantly when faced with a common threat. Commander Joral's invasion force inadvertently created global unity where none existed before. The Grand Admiral circled the hologram. The reinforcement fleet she commanded dwarfed Joral's initial force, 500 destroyer-class vessels, 50 dreadnoughts, and over 1,000 specialized combat units. This time, there would be no strategic mistakes, no underestimation of the enemy. Begin the assault, Vexura ordered. No harvesting, no conquest, this is extermination. The second Kurnock's attack came 6 months after the first. In that time, humanity had prepared. Global defense systems had been established, weapons technology adapted specifically to combat alien incursion, and Earth's space capabilities rapidly expanded. The Kurnock's fleet emerged from hyperspace and immediately unleashed planet-killer weapons, massive antimatter bombs designed to render worlds uninhabitable. But the bombs never reached their targets. A network of defensive satellites, hastily constructed from repurposed communications technology, intercepted them in high orbit. Impossible, Vexura hissed as the tactical display showed their primary weapons failing. How did they build orbital defenses so quickly? Admiral, the communications officer interrupted, were being hailed by the humans. The main view screen activated to show a human female in a military uniform. This is General Alina Chin of the United Earth Defense Force. Your previous attack cost us millions of lives, but it taught us something valuable: you can be defeated. Withdraw now or experience that lesson again. Vexura's mandibles clicked in amusement. You mistake desperation for victory, human. What you faced before was a collection fleet. This is a war fleet. Without waiting for a response, she cut the transmission and ordered the attack to continue. The Kurnock's fleet descended on Earth, weapons blazing. Cities burned, oceans boiled, and millions more humans perished in the first hours of the assault. But again, humanity refused to break. This time, they were ready with more than just improvised defenses. In the 6 months since the first attack, human scientists had reverse-engineered technology from down Kurnock's vessels. They couldn't match the aliens' technological level, but they understood enough to exploit weaknesses. Human spacecraft swarmed the invaders, targeting specific vulnerabilities in Kurnock's ship design. Ground-based energy weapons, primitive by Imperial standards but devastatingly effective, shot down landing craft before they could deploy troops. And in orbit, something new appeared on the tactical displays. Admiral, the tactical officer, reported, the humans have constructed weaponized space stations. They're launching some kind of missiles with biological payloads. The biological weapons revealed another aspect of human ingenuity. They had created viruses specifically tailored to Kurnock's physiology, derived from studying fallen invaders. When the first dreadnought fell silent, its crew incapacitated by microscopic enemies they couldn't fight, Vexura realized this wouldn't be the simple extermination she had planned. Adapt countermeasures, she ordered, fury building in her 4 eyes. Deploy ground forces in sealed armor, burn every human settlement to ash. The battle raged for days as Earth became a crucible of devastation. Human cities were reduced to rubble, but from the ruins, resistance fighters emerged with tactics no Kurnock's strategist had anticipated. They used their own world as a weapon, leading invaders into natural disasters, setting traps using the planet's geology, and fighting with a ferocity born of defending their only home. In her command center, Vexura received increasingly disturbing reports. Kurnock's ground forces were being decimated, not just by human weapons but by the planet itself: flash floods, collapsing structures, even indigenous microorganisms that corrupted their environmental systems. Earth was hostile in ways the Empire had never encountered. Admiral Science Director Maul approached cautiously. I've completed a deeper analysis of human neural patterns. There's something you need to see. The holographic display showed human brain scans, alongside recordings of their behavior in combat. When faced with certain defeat, most species surrender to preserve their genetic line. Humans do the opposite: they fight harder, often sacrificing themselves to ensure others survive. They call it heroism, and they've built entire cultural systems around glorifying it. Vexura absorbed this information with growing concern. You're saying they don't fear death? They fear it, Maul corrected, but they fear subjugation more, and they're willing to die to prevent it. Worse, they inspire each other with these sacrifices. One human's death can motivate hundreds more to fight with increased determination. A massive explosion rocked the inevitable conquest, sending crew members sprawling across the command deck. Damage reports flooded in as emergency systems activated. What happened? Vexura demanded. Humans have breached our engineering section, the security chief reported. They transported aboard somehow. The internal security feeds showed something that chilled even Vexura's battle-hardened core. Human soldiers in crude mechanical exoskeletons fighting hand-to-hand against Kernok's warriors twice their size. They moved with desperate speed, planting devices on critical systems before being cut down, only for more to appear elsewhere on the ship. Suicide attackers, Vexura realized too late, they never intended to survive. This was a one-way mission. The devices detonated simultaneously, crippling the dreadnought's propulsion and weapon systems. Similar reports came in from other vessels. Humans were sacrificing themselves by the thousands to destroy Kernok's ships from within. Admiral, the tactical officer's voice shook with disbelief. 50% of the fleet is disabled or destroyed. The humans have launched a final counterattack. The view screen showed thousands of small craft converging on the remaining Kernok's vessels. Not military spacecraft, but civilian vehicles retrofitted with explosive payloads, each with a human pilot making a one-way journey. Vexura watched in horrified fascination as the humans threw themselves against the might of the Empire. They shouldn't have had a chance, and yet ship after ship in her once mighty fleet winked out of existence. "Order a full retreat," she finally commanded, 4 eyes fixed on the blue planet that had done the impossible. "All surviving vessels, emergency hyperspace jump." As the remnants of the Kernok's fleet fled Earth's solar system, Vexura prepared her report to the Imperial Council. But what could she say? That a primitive species had twice defeated the Empire's finest, that humans would rather die fighting than live under alien rule. In the quiet of her private chamber, she reviewed the final piece of intelligence science Director Maul had provided. Intercepted transmissions revealing that humans were already adapting Kernok's technology to build their own interstellar vessels. The implications were clear. The humans wouldn't stop at defending their world. They now knew they weren't alone in the universe, and they had been given every reason to consider all alien life hostile. A species that turned every obstacle into an opportunity, every defeat into a lesson, and would sacrifice anything for victory was now looking to the stars with new purpose. Vexura made a decision unprecedented in Imperial history. She classified Sol System and its third planet as a forbidden zone, too dangerous to approach. The official records would show Earth as uninhabitable, destroyed by natural disaster. The truth was far more terrifying. The universe now contained humans, and they knew they could win. 5 years after the Second Kernok's retreat, humanity's transformation was nothing short of remarkable. The unified Earth Defense Force had evolved into an interstellar military organization, with outposts extending throughout the solar system. Reverse-engineered Kernok's technology accelerated human advancement by centuries. What had once been theoretical, faster-than-light travel, gravity manipulation, energy shields, was now reality. On Mars Colony Alpha, Admiral Elena Chin stood before the United Earth Council, her weathered face reflecting the burden of leading humanity's defense forces through its darkest hours. "The Kernoks have not returned, but our intelligence suggests they haven't forgotten us," she reported, activating a holographic display showing sectors of nearby space. "We've detected anomalous energy signatures at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. They're watching, gathering information, preparing." Council President Takahashi leaned forward. "What do you recommend, Admiral?" "We cannot wait for them to strike again. The Kernok's empire spans hundreds of worlds. Next time they won't underestimate us. They'll send a force that could obliterate Earth completely." Elena's voice remained steady despite the gravity of her words. "We must take the initiative. Project Vanguard is ready." The hologram shifted to display Earth's first true warfleet, 50 vessels built with hybridized human Kernok's technology. Leading them was the EDF Defiance, humanity's first dreadnought. "We've located the Kernok's homeworld," Elena continued. "Our mission isn't conquest or revenge. We'll demonstrate our capability and establish diplomatic contact from a position of strength. The Kernoks respect power. We must show them we cannot be harvested or exterminated." Debate raged among the council members. Some advocated for focusing solely on defense, others argued for a preemptive strike against the Empire. In the end, Elena's middle path prevailed. The Vanguard fleet would depart within the month. First strike. In the Imperial Palace on Kernox Prime, Emperor Vazrax received the news with mandibles clicking in agitation. The long secretive human surveillance operation at the edge of Sol System had gone silent. "Explain," he demanded, 4 eyes fixed on Grand Admiral Vexura and the Imperial Intelligence Director. 17 observation vessels stationed across their system, the intelligence director replied, tentacles twitching nervously. All communication ceased simultaneously. We must assume they were discovered and destroyed. Impossible, the Emperor hissed. The humans lack the technology to detect our cloaked vessels. Vexura said nothing. 5 years of studying Earth had taught her to never underestimate human ingenuity. While the official imperial policy classified Earth as a quarantined disaster zone, she had maintained covert surveillance, gathering data on the alarming pace of human advancement. A junior officer burst into the chamber, protocol forgotten in urgency. Imperial Majesty, unknown vessels have entered the Kurnock system. They've bypassed our outer defenses without detection. The palace trembled as distant explosions echoed through the capital city. Security alerts blared across communication channels. Humans, the Emperor rose from his throne, exoskeleton flaring in alarm. Yes, Imperial Majesty, the officer confirmed. They're targeting our defense grid with precision strikes, no civilian targets there, broadcasting a message across all frequencies. The main display activated to show a human female in a military uniform. This is Admiral Alina Chin of the Earth Defense Force. We have demonstrated our ability to reach your homeworld undetected. We have no desire for conquest or extermination, unlike your forces when they attacked Earth. We propose a meeting between our leaders to negotiate a peaceful coexistence. You have one planetary rotation to respond. Silence fell across the Imperial Chamber. For the first time in millennia, an alien species had struck at the heart of the Kurnock's empire. Emperor Vazrax turned to Vexura, mandibles clicking rapidly. How is this possible? Your reports indicated they were primitive. They were, Vexura responded, but they learned faster than any species we've encountered. They've adapted our technology and improved upon it. She gestured to the tactical display showing the human warships effortlessly evading Kurnock's defense systems. Those vessels incorporate design elements from our fleet, but with modifications we never considered. The Emperor paced the chamber, calculating options. The Empire's military was vast, but much of it was deployed across their expansive territory. Assembling a force capable of overwhelming these humans would take time. Open communications, he finally ordered. We will meet with them. Diplomatic gambits. The meeting took place on neutral territory, a small, uninhabited moon orbiting a gas giant at the edge of Kurnock space. 3 human vessels and 3 Kurnock ships maintained position at equal distances from the diplomatic outpost hastily constructed on the lunar surface. Admiral Chin led the human delegation, accompanied by scientists, linguists, and military advisors. Emperor Vazrax sent Grand Admiral Vexura as his representative, unwilling to risk his own safety despite the blow to imperial dignity. When the 2 delegations faced each other across the negotiation table, the contrast was stark. The Kurnocks, with their imposing exoskeletons, 4 eyes, and mandibles, towered over the humans, yet there was no fear in the humans' eyes, only resolve. You attacked our world without provocation, Chin began without preamble. Millions died, we want assurances it will never happen again. Vexura's translator conveyed her response. The Kurnock's empire has existed for 10,000 of your years. We have conquered hundreds of worlds. What you call an unprovoked attack, we call standard procedure for Class 3 civilizations. And how many of those civilizations fought back successfully? Chin asked, a hint of steel in her voice. The question hung in the air, unanswered. We propose a treaty, Chin continued. Human space will remain sovereign and inviolable. In exchange, we will not expand into current Kurnock's territory. We will establish communication protocols to prevent misunderstandings. We will share certain scientific advancements of mutual benefit. And if we refuse, Vexura's mandibles clicked in what humans had learned was an expression of skepticism. Chin's face remained impassive. During our brief incursion into your system, we gathered extensive data on your defenses, infrastructure, and military capabilities. We identified 47 critical vulnerabilities that could be exploited in a full-scale conflict. We would prefer peace, Admiral Vexura, but make no mistake, we are prepared for the alternative. The negotiations continued for days, tension gradually giving way to cautious mutual assessment. The Kurnocks were forced to acknowledge what Vexura had already realized. Humans were not like other species they had encountered. Their rapid technological advancement, their decentralized decision-making, their willingness to sacrifice for collective survival, all made them uniquely dangerous. For their part, the humans learned the Kurnock's empire was not monolithic. Internal political factions, ethnic distinctions, and philosophical differences existed beneath the appearance of unity. Some Kurnoks even opposed the Empire's conquests on moral grounds, a minority view, but one that could potentially be cultivated. On the final day, a framework agreement was reached. The Sol system and its immediate stellar neighbors would be recognized as sovereign human territory. A demilitarized buffer zone would be established between human and Kurnok space. Regular diplomatic exchanges would begin, along with carefully controlled scientific collaboration. As the delegations prepared to depart, Vexura approached Chin privately. "There is something you should know, Admiral," she said, her translator converting the complex clicks and whistles of Kernok's speech. "The Empire is vast, but we are not alone in this galaxy. There are others, some make us look primitive by comparison." Chin's expression remained neutral. "Are you threatening us with these others?" "No," Vexura's four eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of sincerity. "I am warning you, the galaxy is older and more dangerous than you realize. Your species' remarkable ability to adapt and survive, you may need it again." 10 years after the treaty with the Kurnox Empire, humanity's expansion into space had accelerated beyond all expectations. Colonies flourished on Mars, Europa, and Titan. Mining operations in the asteroid belt fueled an industrial revolution. The first extrasolar colony ships had reached Alpha Centauri and Tau Ceti, establishing human outposts around distant stars. In orbit around Europa, the research station Prometheus housed the most ambitious scientific endeavor in human history, the Starborn Initiative. Here, the brightest minds from Earth and its colonies worked to integrate knowledge gained from the Kurnoks with humanity's own scientific discoveries. Dr. Sanjay Mehta, director of the initiative, led a delegation of officials through the gleaming laboratory complex. Now in his 60s, he had been part of the team that reverse-engineered the first Kurnox vessels during the war. Since then, his focus had shifted from weapons to something more profound. "What we've learned from the Kurnox has been invaluable," he explained as they passed simulation chambers and quantum computing arrays. "But we're no longer simply copying their technology. We're creating something entirely new." The delegation entered a massive circular chamber dominated by a device that resembled a metallic torus suspended within nested energy fields. Technicians monitored complex data streams as the device hummed with barely contained power. "This is the culmination of the Starborn Initiative," Sanjay announced with undisguised pride. "We call it the Nexus. It's a communication system that operates outside normal spacetime. In theory, it can transmit information instantaneously across any distance." One of the officials, a government representative, frowned. "In theory. We've successfully tested it within our solar system," Sanjay clarified. "Today, we're attempting the first extrasolar transmission to our colony on Proxima Centauri b." The officials were guided to an observation room as the technical team prepared for the test. Sanjay joined his chief engineer, Dr. Amara Washington, at the main control console. "Power levels optimal," Amara reported. "Quantum entanglement stable, we're ready for initialization." Sanjay nodded and opened a communication channel. "Proxima Colony, this is Prometheus Station. Nexus test commencing in 30 seconds. Please confirm readiness." After the 4-year light delay, a response would normally be impossible. But if the Nexus worked as designed, communication would be instantaneous. The device activated, energy fields intensifying as the torus began to spin. Blue-white light coursed through conduits surrounding the chamber. On the main display, a status indicator shifted from red to yellow to green. "Connection established," Amara announced, surprise evident in her voice despite months of preparation. "Transmission channel open." Sanjay leaned toward the communication console. "Proxima Colony, this is Prometheus Station. Do you read?" Seconds ticked by intense silence, then impossibly a response. "Prometheus Station, this is Proxima Colony. We read you loud and clear. No signal delay detected. The Nexus works." Applause erupted in the observation room. Humanity had achieved what even the Kurnoks considered theoretical, instantaneous communication across interstellar distances. The implications were enormous. Coordinated defense networks spanning multiple star systems, unified governance despite the vast distances of space, accelerated scientific collaboration between colonies. But as the celebration continued, an unexpected alert appeared on Amara's console. "Sanjay," she called, voice suddenly tense, I'm detecting anomalous data in the return signal. The technical team converged on her station, analyzing the unusual patterns embedded within the transmission from Proxima Centauri. It doesn't match any known communication protocol, one technician reported. It's not originating from the colony. Sanjay felt a chill despite the climate-controlled environment. Are you saying someone else is on the channel? That's impossible. The quantum entanglement is specifically calibrated between our transmitters. Not someone on the channel, Amara clarified, her face pale. Someone in the channel. The Nexus doesn't just transmit information through spacetime, it creates a conduit, and something from elsewhere has noticed. The anomalous data expanded, flowing through the Nexus system faster than the safeguards could contain it. Displays throughout the chamber flickered with symbols and patterns that seemed to shift as soon as the human eye focused on them. Shut it down, Sanjay ordered, but Amara was already initiating emergency protocols. Too late, she whispered. It's already transmitted to every system connected to the Nexus. The main display stabilized, showing a message in perfectly formed English. We have heard your call across the void. After EONS of silence, a new voice SPAKS. We are the Ascended, we are coming. As quickly as it appeared, the message vanished, leaving the technical team staring at blank screens. The Nexus powered down, emergency systems engaging to contain whatever had just occurred. In the stunned silence that followed, Sanjay met Amara's gaze. Contact Admiral Chin and the Kurnock's ambassador, he said quietly. I think we just made first contact again, and this time it wasn't with someone searching for worlds to harvest. The Nexus incident marked the beginning of humanity's next great challenge. The galaxy, as Vexura had warned, contained powers beyond even the Kurnock's empire's understanding. But humanity had proven itself adaptable, resourceful, and indomitable. Whatever came from the stars, whether the mysterious Ascended or something else entirely, Earth and its colonies would be ready. For in their brief history among the stars, humans had taught the galaxy one undeniable lesson: underestimate them at your peril.